This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi!
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
We are joined now by the legendary law professor, appellate attorney, one of the smartest men who ever walked the surface of America, Alan Dershowitz. Professor, how are you, sir? And privileged to talk to you.
Thank you. As you may know, I was one of Jeffrey McDonald's lawyers back in the day. I argued one of his appeals in the Fourth Circuit. And after the court rejected, not on the merits, on procedural grounds, rejected his argument, one of the judges said, Professor Dershowitz, don't you ever dare to bring another case involving Jeffrey McDonald again, or we will have to discipline you. And I said to the court, I will do what my bar association and my bar membership requires me to do. I will continue to bring cases that I think are meritorious. If you want to sanction me, that's your job, but my job is to bring the cases. And I continued to bring cases for many years, but the courts never, ever, ever were willing to look into the case because there is a very, very good chance Jeffrey McDonald was factually innocent and that this other group of people, led by a woman named Stokely, was involved and not him.
It's amazing, and it was a rainy night, and the MPs passed a woman of Stokely's description, and they would have stopped had they not been on their way to a potential murder scene. And it was pouring rain. It was so weird that she was just standing there. It's amazing what that judge said to you, because just like you say, there could be new evidence.
And can I get your evidence? There was new DNA evidence, and this case has never gotten a thorough review by anybody. The prosecutors who brought the case originally were disciplined for other misconduct. This case stands as a scandal. And he served now, how many years? More than 40 in prison?
Yeah, and he's in his early 80s now, and kidney issues and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's looking bleak and an injustice, a total injustice. Give us your reaction, please, sir, to the Supreme Court. It looks like a big victory on border protection for President Trump.
Well, I have a split view on this. On the merits, I wish that we would allow people on the border to assert status as victims of persecution. That would be my personal view. But legally, I think the Supreme Court is right. The president, as the head of the executive branch, has the authority to make those decisions. I wish he would have made a different decision. But legally, I think the Supreme Court is correct.
So interesting. There's so much of the talk in our country and in our media and the establishment is trying to prevent or calling out the president for doing things that he is actually empowered to do.
Yeah.
It's the most powerful office in the world, but they're always saying, oh my gosh, he can't do that.
and there are precedents. The 3 presidents before him who most expanded the executive were Jefferson, who ran on a campaign of narrowing the president's power, and one of the first things he did was buy Louisiana. Boy, was that a mistake. No, that was such a great decision. He did it without congressional authorization. Same thing was true with Alaska later on in our history. And then, of course, Lincoln expanded the power of the executive very considerably. And then Franklin Delano Roosevelt, he wanted to pack the court. He expanded the power of the executive considerably. And, most of them are presidents we admire for expanding the power of the president.
So I happen to catch Preet Bharara, the former U.S. Attorney for the Southern District, talking about those legendary phone calls he received from President Trump, 2 kind of shoot the breeze phone calls, and then the third phone call he thought he was going to get fired, so he didn't take the phone call. But there's a line in the Constitution that I think has been forgotten by a lot of people. It's in Article 3, and it says, the president, he shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed. There's nothing in this Constitution and nothing anywhere that says the president can't pick up the phone and talk to anybody he wants. I think that was totally appropriate. Maybe unusual, but that's President Trump.
Completely constitutional. Let me tell you what Jefferson did. When Burr got arrested for treason, Jefferson called in people and said, I want you to be witnesses against Burr because I believe he committed treason. And if you become witnesses, I will give you a peremptory pardon to make sure you can't be prosecuted for perjury or anything else. That was Thomas Jefferson, our third president of the United States. Presidents have a lot of authority. President Lincoln pardoned people who shouldn't have gotten pardons because he thought that would help in getting West Virginia and other states to join the North rather than the South. Presidents aren't bound by technicalities. They're bound by the Constitution. They're bound by the law, but they're not bound by precedent of prior presidents. They can do things that they think serve the interests of the United States, as long as they act within the Constitution, within the law. And if you don't like it, vote against them, vote against their party. But judges have been imposing too many extra constitutional constraints on this president. You can disagree with what he's doing, but it's hard to find them unconstitutional under the provisions you've cited and other provisions of the Constitution that give the president enormous power, not only during wartime, but during peacetime as well. But there are limits to that power, obviously, as President Truman found when he tried to, seize the steel mills, and other presidents have found over time. There are limits, but there are limits to the limits. And courts don't have a roving permission to simply do justice as they see fit. They're supposed to decide only cases and controversies, and yet courts go way beyond that. Even Justice Ginsburg, who was very liberal when she was on the court, said that courts do not have a roving commission to do justice. They just have to decide the cases before them, and in the cases before them, the people bringing them have to have standing. They have to satisfy the other rules bringing cases, and only then does the Supreme Court decide them.
Finally, before we go, Professor, your take on the progress toward peace with Iran and the situation with Israel. How do you feel overall about what's happening?
I'm not feeling comfortable. I wish that the president had finished the job. He did a great job in the beginning. He weakened Iran. He destroyed their then existing nuclear facilities, and I have to give him tremendous praise for that. I think if he had been able to finish the job, the whole world would be a lot safer. If there were regime change, if the Iranian mullahs were not governing anymore and tyrannizing their own people, killing tens of thousands of them, even recently executing and arresting people, women, just for wearing street clothes. But, I think the regime is weakening, and I'm hoping that whatever deal is made, it's a deal that ultimately ends up weakening the regime and making it possible for the good people of Iran to take over without risking tens of thousands of people being killed. So I have an open mind. I hope the ultimate deal is stronger than the memorandum of understanding, but I understand that a memorandum is just that. The deal is the deal. And I think you can't compare the memorandum of understanding with the Barack Obama deal. You have to compare the final deals. And I'm hoping that the Trump final deal, because he's usually a very, very good negotiator, will be much stronger than Barack Obama's deal.
Alan Dershowitz, the legend. We're so grateful. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.